Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round two, front nine of the Raleigh Winter Classic, the 6th annual Raleigh Winter Classic to be precise. We got some familiar names joining us for this round two, and we got some new names joining us for this round two. So jumping in right into hole one, par 3, 418 feet, dead straight shot with a little bit of a right finish. So I guess it's not dead straight, but you know, mostly straight, little bit of a right finish. OB to the right side, all along the right side, OB in these two sheds, and then just a really rough left side, so you really want to leave it on the fairway. So let's see who's up first. We have Christian Camp, who shot the hot round during round one. Opting for the forehand, turning this one over a bit too much, and he'll end up a little bit deep on the left side there.
Almost good.
Yeah, extra commentary from the card there. Here's Kyle Gray. Getting stopped by that little tree there. He'll have an open approach, maybe a little bit of a safe run to the basket, but there is OB directly behind. Kyle Watson from Madison, Mississippi, not Tupelo. Burning this one down into the ground here. Kevin Brady, who got a haircut in between rounds because it was just getting too hot. Throwing this really high and turning it over a bit too much. He'll be right next to Christian Camp.
I'd go look.
Kyle Watson turned and burned. Thankfully didn't go OB, but just left him with a pitch out, really, unless he wanted to try and get really aggressive, but just has to get up and down for bogey now. Throwing his pure, I believe this is. Leaving it a little bit wide, but he should be good for that. As you can see, the rain has let up. Finally get to Kyle Gray's drive. Opting for the pig up shot. And that should be an easy par. Here we have Christian Camp throwing his soft tactic. He called it, and it did it. This was so awesome to see. And here we get to Kevin's shot. Really cut off deeper in the woods here. And thankfully getting a little bit of an anti-skip there. Leave him a nice easy putt for par. Kyle Watson cleaning up his bogey. Kevin Brady cleaning up his par. And Kyle Gray to follow. That will conclude the first hole. On to the second. Hole 2, par 3. This is a legitimate dead straight shot. We have OB to the right. If you get onto hole 1's fairway, you will be OB. No OB to the left, so the miss would be primarily to end up left and not right. But only 314 feet, so no OB behind the basket as far as I know. So a nice little ace run hole here. Most of our players probably going to opt for a putter or a mid, if I had to guess. Up first with the only birdie on hole 1, Christian Camp. Opting for a forehand. And that'll end up in a great spot. Pin high, I believe. Kyle Gray, I believe this is an invader. I could be wrong.
Go in the bucket. One up my last shot.
Trying to give it an ace, but he'll end up parked for the birdie. Beautiful shot. Kevin Brady. Great correction from hole 1. Great anti-skip there, and he'll end up ostensibly parked for birdie. Kyle Watson. Throwing this one really high, getting a lot of turn, and that will kick left. I didn't see that in person, but here we see where he ended up. Trying to ring up the birdie from distance. Finally get to Kevin's drive. Ooh, that was a scary, scary putt there. Almost getting through, but scorecard doesn't keep photographs. Christian Camp for his 2. Really taking his time. And he's clean. 2 for 2. Ideal start. Kyle Gray with the almost ace. Good for his 2 as well. And Kyle Watson cleaning up his par. Moving on to hole 3. Hole 3, par 3, 411 feet. Again, a dead straight shot. Surprise, surprise. If you didn't watch the round 1, you'll be super surprised. OB to the left, OB to the right in this chicken house, I've come to learn that it is called. And the wood line to the left, there's a painted line as well as flags. So if you are over those, or to the left of those, excuse me, then you will be OB. This cheeky little target here to the right, that is also OB if you end up underneath that, because it's not safe to throw from. No OB as far as I know behind the basket, so go as far behind it as you'd like. Just would leave you with a horrible putt because it's very, very, bleh, 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 words are hard, very dense back there. Up first, Christian Camp. Opting for the huge hyzer. And that should end up right next to where Chad ended up in the first round. Kyle Gray opting for his Halo Destroyer, which if you watch the Dog Days Open of this year, you will be familiar with. Ooh, and throwing it completely over the chicken house. And we couldn't find it, so hopefully he gets that back at some point, but as far as I know, we haven't found it yet. Kevin Brady. Same mistake as Kyle. Just turning it over the barn, or the chicken house. I'm going to call it a barn, gosh dang it. Kyle Watson, can he make the correction? Yes, and also no.
Nice.
Same shot, just much better disc selection for the shot. So he'll end up pretty parked. Kyle Gray opting for the pig approach and ends up in a great spot. And Kevin from the same spot, excuse me. Christian was talking to Chad on the next hole, so Kevin was razzing him a little bit there. Nice little Anheuser with an overstable disc, trying to ring up the par save here. Here's Christian Kemp throwing his soft tactic again, trying to make some more magic happen.
I didn't try to get it down.
He was telling me he was trying to get it in, but not trying. Kyle, high for his bogey save. Kevin stepped in an anthill for this. You see him checking his foot and getting rid of those Little pesky fire ants. Kyle Gray for his double bogey. Very unfortunate result. Christian for his 3. And Kyle Watson with his absolute amazing park job, grabbing the 2. Hole 4, par 4, 531 feet. You have about a 350-foot straight shot, OB to the left, all along hole 3's fairway. No OB to the right, it's just really, really thick in there, and it acts as natural OB if you get caught up in there. OB over this sign as well, because that will be hole, I believe it's 4 or 5. I believe it's hole 5 that the hole 5's basket is back there. So 350 feet to the sign, and then another 100 or so feet to the right here to get to the basket. I know that adds up to 450 feet, and the hole is 531 feet, so obviously I'm wrong at some point. Kyle Watson with the 2. Ending up a little bit early right side. Not too cut off as far as I remember, but we'll see how he deals with that. Christian Camp. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous drive here, ending up perfect spot. Maybe just a little short of the gap, but easy approach shot from there. Kevin Brady up now. This hole sponsored by Aspire Dental. Huge thanks to them for supporting this event. Throwing this forehand and just burning it over. He's had this issue a couple times, as we've seen. Hopefully he makes the adjustment. He will end up OB to the left. Kyle Gray up now. And just not getting quite enough turn out of this disc, and it will fade out early left. Ending up right where Kyle Watson was round 1. So we'll see if he can get up and down. Kevin Brady here. Throwing a nice flare skip forehand. Should end up with an easy look at par. Kyle Gray opting for the pig for a fairly long shot here. But we've seen him work some magic. And that looks like a pretty decent shot from what we can see. Kyle Watson throwing a tomahawk over everything and ending up in a fantastic spot for the birdie look. Here we have Christian Camp, just a little bit short of the gap, but as I said before, easy up and down here. Trying to ring up the eagle, and he will be parked for his birdie. Here we have Kyle from his approach through the woods. This was a great shot from where he was. And just a little high, but full committed putt there. Kevin Brady for his par. Trying to keep that scorecard nice and clean. Kyle Gray, a little bit of a weird stance to take here. Keeping his scorecard nice and clean here. Christian Camp, carding a 3. Playing really well so far. You see why he shot the hot round. And Kyle tapping in his par. On to hole 5. Par 3, 237 feet. OB to the right over this fence, and very thick trees to the left. And lots of little guardian trees to hit on the way down. But it's fairly downhill, so most of our players probably opting for the putter. Christian Camp up first. Just narrowly missing that tree. Getting a great skip down the hill. Should be in a great position for the 2. Huge thanks to Team Dissette, Robert and Denise Dissette, for sponsoring this hole. And then I can't read the other side, so Kyle Watson lacing this pure right down the middle.
shot.
Should be parked.
We've got a funny story. That's why.
Talking about puring it. Kevin Brady up now. Opting for the forehand. A little bit dangerous because of the OB to the right side.
Where'd you go?
Burning this one over, but it should be in a fine spot considering the downhill should skip down a little bit, so we'll see how he ended up. Kyle Gray bringing up the rear. Oh, just kicking something pretty early, but I don't think he ended up OB. Yeah, so no OB stroke. Option for the pig now. Probably should have thrown that off the tee, but hey, hindsight's 2020.
Oh,
Nice little flick here, ending up parked for the par. Great scramble from him. Kevin ended up in a fantastic spot, so must have skipped down the fairway a little bit. Great two there. And we should expect the rest of our card to clean up their birdies, and Kyle, of course, or Kyle Gray, excuse me, clean up his par. Kyle Watson making good on his two. Kyle Gray with a good par cleanup. Great scramble from him. And Christian with the absolute park job. On to hole 6, par 3, 315 feet. This is almost a mirror copy of hole 5, just uphill. So, wait a minute, that is the mirror copy. Never mind, ignore me. Uphill, 315 feet, turning right the whole time, so most people are probably going to throw a forehand, but I think the backhand turnover is the real play here. Just don't hit any trees. Lots and lots of trees to miss here. Christian Camp hitting a tree, so he failed the test. Kyle Watson up now, opting for the backhand turnover. Should be in a pretty good position. We didn't hear any trees, so usually a sign of a good shot on this hole. Kevin Brady. Getting a nice flip up here. Should be about pin high, but a little bit to the left, actually, getting a bit too much flip. Kyle Gray up now. Oh, hitting an early tree. Kicking to the fairway, so not the worst possible position. Great approach with his pig there. Should be an easy 3. Christian Camp opting for that soft tactic. His version of the pig, I suppose.
Saddle, go in.
Calling it for it to go in again. But he should be in a great position for the 3 as well. Kyle Watson with a jump putt. Using the shoulder blades to block the shot. But he should have an easy 3 as well. And Kevin, the only person possibly with a look at the 2. Hitting the pin. Trying to throw it in. It was a great shot. Great effort from Kevin. Watson good on his 3. And I suspect we shall see a par frame here on hole 6. Very tough hole to get the 2 on, so par is not the worst result. Just as we expect and suspect. Christian Camp for the 3, Kyle for the 3, or Kyle Gray, excuse me, and Kevin for his 3. Moving on to hole 7. Hole 7, par 3, 351 feet. Playing a bit downhill, so plays a little bit shorter than that, but you just have so much going on in this hole. OB water here, just straight ahead, and only about 5 feet from the basket. Lots of little trees all throughout this course and all through this hole that you need to miss. The play for the birdie is to throw a huge forehand over the little pond here and land it next to the pin. And there is a cliff there to the right of the pin, so that's the where you'd prefer to be if you miss, instead of in the water. Christian Camp, opting for the huge forehand, and he will be right next to the pin, only a couple feet away from the water.
I was gonna lay up, and then
Throwing it just like I described. So, way to follow the rules. Way to follow the breakdown there. Kyle Watson up now. Flexing this out real nice. And he should be in a great position to look at the two. Depends on if he went down that cliff or not.
Imagine you're like that mad and then hit it.
Kevin Brady. Show off that forehand. Throwing this one really high. He'll probably be next to where Kyle Watson landed.
Yeah, that's what I did last round.
Kyle Gray opting for that Sexton Firebird, I believe it is. Good camera work, Jacob.
I'm cool with that.
That should be in a good spot as well. He'll probably be the furthest from the pin, but... Oh, here we see Kevin. Down in the cliff. Oh, almost ringing up the two.
You're good, you're parked.
Just a death putt there. And then here we see Kyle Watson. Just a little bit further up, but with a much better look. And this is like 10 feet uphill. Good for his birdie putt. That was a great birdie save. Christian Camp.
Yeah, I was right there on you.
That was sick.
Give off one.
And a little bit of extra commentary from camera me. Kyle cleaning up his two. Moving on. Hole 8. Hole 8, par 3, 236 feet. Water carry probably about 180 to 200 or so feet. And this is an island hole. And if you don't make the island, this little corrugated black tubing around the pin, you will play that as a hazard. And I believe if you end up in the water, you play from the red pads. So let's see how they accomplish this. Christian Camp up first. Looks like he's throwing his tactic again.
You're down. You're down.
Giving it a great little ace run. That was all online the whole way. And he's parked for his two.
It does whistle there.
This is Kyle Watson, I believe. Yep. Those shoulder blades don't lie. Throwing this out really wide. Doesn't get quite the stability he was expecting, and he'll have a pretty easy look at his three, because you do throw with an OB stroke. Kyle Gray throwing his pig. A little bit of a wind kick there to push it down, but he's parked for his two.
Nice. That's why I like those.
And Kevin Brady throwing this really wide. Not enough skip, but good look at the three.
At least it was.
Here we get to Kevin, furthest from the pin. Throwing that a little too wide.
So,
Very unfortunate hole to bogey for how short it is. But that is the island holes for you. Kyle Watson good for his three.
but Senegator in my opinion.
Kyle Gray good for his two, as we maybe don't expect, but you know, a happy surprise. Christian cleaning up his two, and Brady cleaning up his unfortunate bogey. Moving on to hole 9. Hole 9, par 3, 418 feet. Almost mirror of hole 1, aside from not being backwards. But you throw over this hill, OB to the left side. The entirety of hole 1 would be OB for us. No mandatory. Some of our local players may remember this being a mando hole, but no mandatory today. No OB to the right, no OB behind. So you really got to pipe something really far, really straight.
Okay. I'm just gonna throw. Oh, don't.
Too much turn, throwing into the rough, but getting in a great result for how bad that shot was. Let's be honest here, that was, if it was any of us, it would have just kicked straight down into the rough, but for him it got through. Kyle Gray up now. Following the same line Christian threw for some reason, but a little bit lower.
Might be up there. Yeah.
Easy up and down, and maybe a little bit of a safe run. It is a bit of a sloping green though, so maybe just want to lay up. Kyle Watson put a move on this one. Woo.
Don't hit it.
Ending up a bit left, but good look at the two. Did not end up OB. Spoil that right now. The OB line is probably about another 20 or 30 feet from that that light pole we see. Kevin Brady throwing this one really high. He'll end up even further left than Kyle Watson. Christian Kemp furthest from the pin. Nice little soft run here, I guess you'd call that, but easy 3 for him. Kyle Gray giving this a bit of a run.
Come on.
Oh, all left side chains. Great bid from him. There you see Kevin only 10 or so feet from that OB line. Giving this a great run. He'll give himself a little bit of a tester coming back. Kyle Watson just fading out really early. Not very committed on that. I think he was just doing a safe layup slash run. Kevin making good on his par cleanup. Kyle to follow suit. We should expect our other players to tap in their pars. Oh God, I thought Christian was closer than that with how close Kyle Watson was. Making good on his par cleanup, and Kyle Gray to follow suit and conclude the front 9 of round 2. Hopefully see you all in the back 9.